Actions and reactions are the driving force of combat in DC20. Actions are defined as anything you spend action points on in the game. Check out our video on combat resources to learn more about how action points work. Players have 4 action points that they can spend on their turn. The AP cost of an action will be listed in the action's description. Let's break down the different types of actions by starting with minor actions. Once per turn, a player can spend 2 minor actions without spending AP. An example of a minor action could be opening or closing a door, drawing or sheathing a weapon, grabbing or releasing an item. Basically small things that don't necessarily exhaust your character. If you want to perform more than 2 minor actions on your turn, then you'll have to spend 1 action point per additional minor action. And if you're not performing a minor action, you'll likely be taking one of the following actions: attack, move, disengage, dodge, grapple, help, hide, object, shove, and spell action. These are the basic actions you'll be performing in the game. Thankfully, most actions in the game will only cost you 1 action point. That being said, there are a lot more actions that fall under different categories. The first of which are offensive actions. These will be used when you really need to get in someone's business and tamper with their effectiveness in combat. The attack action lets you spend 1 action point to make an attack check against an opponent or object. The disarm action allows you to spend 1 action point to contest an opponent to make them drop an object in an unoccupied space. If you've played any TTRPG, then you're no stranger to the grapple action. In DC20, you spend 1 action point to contest a creature's martial check. A neat aspect of the game is that the grapple mechanics include dragging, escaping a grapple, falling, and more. The shove action allows you to contest a creature's martial check. If you succeed, they are pushed 1 space away and 1 additional space for every 5 that you beat the DC by. Our last offensive action is the tackle action. Technically, this will require you to spend an action point beforehand to use the move action. Then, spend 1 action point to contest a creature's martial check. And if you succeed, you successfully grapple the target and move them 1 space, immediately falling prone. Look, that can be a lot of information. How are you holding up? Great. Now that we've gotten offensive actions out of the way, let's move on to defensive actions. Thankfully, there are only 3 of them that you need to keep in mind: disengage, dodge, and hide. Consider me disengaged. The disengage action is broken up into 2 parts: disengage and full disengage. Spending 1 action point allows you to impose disadvantage on opportunity attacks made against you, while spending 2 action points allows you to become immune to opportunity attacks until the start of your next turn. Similarly, the dodge action is also broken up. Spend 1 action point to impose disadvantage on the next attack or grapple made against you. Spend 2 action points to impose disadvantage on all attacks and grapples made against you until the start of your next turn. Finally, for our hide action, spend 1 action point to attempt a stealth check to hide from 1 or more creatures that can't see you. If you've made it this far in the video, consider subscribing or hitting the like button.
Get on with it!
Our next category gets a little technical with utility actions. The first of these is the move action. Simply spend 1 action point to move up to your creature's speed. Next is genuinely one of my favorite actions in the game, the help action. In DC20, you can spend 1 action point to grant another creature a help die, starting with a D8. For every instance of help that a creature gets, the additional die will decrease. So if a creature is getting help from 3 creatures, they get to add a D8, a D6, and a D4 to their roll. This is what we call the multiple help die penalty. The object action is DC20's answer to the drink a potion problem from D&D. Simply spend 1 action point to interact with an action. And the last utility action is the spell action. Spend action points to cast the spell that you know, but if it has an additional mana point cost, be sure to spend that as well. Hey, are you even listening? Alrighty. The next type of action that you'll want to know about are the skill-based actions. These include analyzing a creature, calming an animal, combat insight, conceal, feint, intimidate, investigate, jump, medicine, mounted defense, pass through, or search. Most of these are pretty self-explanatory, but I'll go ahead and break down some of the more unique ones. Analyzing a creature allows you to gather information about a specific creature, while Calm Animal allows you to beguile an animal that can see or hear you. Combat Insight lets your character to attempt to see the emotional state of an opponent while getting a vibe check for what they're going to be attempting to do in combat. Another unique one is Mounted Defense, which allows you to maneuver a mount that you're riding while avoiding danger. Okay, so after taking vigorous notes, I think I know. And now let's get into advanced actions, baby. I'm sick of your bullshit. Held actions are for when circumstances aren't quite in your favor, but you'd like to be ready. When that's the case, declare which action you would like to take and state a trigger. As long as your stated trigger happens before your next turn, you can take your declared action as a reaction. Speaking of, please, I can't take more information. Sure you can. Reactions are actions that a creature can take during another creature's turn. Reactions will almost always have a prerequisite that must happen before the action can take place. If the reaction has a resource cost, then you must spend those resources in order to take the reaction. Remember, spending action points early will result in less action points at the start of your turn, but they will reset at the end of your turn. Wait. You're not gonna flood me with different types of reactions? Reactions include opportunity attacks and spell duels. That's it, pretty much. Opportunity attacks allow you to attack a creature leaving your melee range, while spell duels are basically DC20's version of counterspell. Think of it like Harry Potter versus Voldemort at the end of that last Harry Potter movie. I really haven't seen those since they first went to DVD. Well, thank you for all of that, but that's a lot to keep up with. I'm gonna be honest, I don't think I'm gonna remember all of this. Oh, that's okay. That's what your copy of the rulebook is for. You know what? Here, take this. That is a player cheat sheet that should provide a brief overview of everything that you can do in combat. Wow, this is actually really useful. Did you make this? Actually, several people in the DC20 community did. You can get access to these kinds of cheat sheets in the Dungeon Coach Discord server or in the DC20 subreddit. If you found this video helpful, check out this other video that YouTube thinks you'll find just as helpful. Thanks for watching.